Good afternoon. I'm going to finish up chapter 13 on extinction in this video, and I'm going to start out talking about the 5 major mass extinctions and then transition into a 6th proposed one, and then talk about some of the primary environmental changes responsible for these mass extinctions in the past. Sepkoski and Ropp, in their 1982 paper, defined 5 major mass extinctions where at least 50% or so of marine invertebrate animals at the genus level went extinct within a fairly narrow geologic time frame. And these 5 mass extinction events occurred at the end of the Ordovician period, called the late Ordovician, 440 or so million years ago. At the latter part of the Devonian period, 360 or so million years ago. The largest extinction of organisms occurred at the end of the Permian at the beginning of the Triassic period, about 240 to 50 million years ago, called the Great Dying, if you will, because of just the sheer number of organisms that went extinct. The 4th one occurred at the end of the Triassic period, about 200 million years ago. And the most recent mass extinction occurred at the end of the Cretaceous period, beginning of the Tertiary, about 60 to 65 million years ago. We think of it with the extinction of most of the dinosaurs as well, the number 5. So, a 6th mass extinction has been proposed by E.O. Wilson. Most biologists agree, not all. E.O. Wilson proposed that by the end of this century, year 2100, perhaps 25 to 50% of all living species will go extinct. So that's a prediction. You hear similar predictions with ocean or sea level rise with the associated climate change that is proposed to be occurring right now. The acceleration of warming, if you will, and the associated melting of ice at both the poles. So Wilson, E.O. Wilson, and you've heard his name several times, from Harvard, proposed that habitat loss in particular as being one of the major factors involved, habitat loss caused by human activity being the primary factor that's going to be involved in this mass extinction. And a prior extinction occurred here in North America called the megafauna extinction, and humans are implicated as one potential factor in the extinction of the North American megafauna. And another hypothesis is climate change. A very warm, dry period may have caused the extinction of megafauna at the end of the most recent ice age, say between 10 and 15,000 years ago. So, what causes a mass extinction? What changes in the environment so quickly, maybe so catastrophically, to cause a large number of organisms to go extinct within a relatively short geologic window? One of the major factors is a large-scale catastrophic volcanic eruption that releases dust and particulate matter into the air in such a manner that it may disrupt the sun reaching the earth and inhibit photosynthesis by plants for several months or maybe even longer, in such a manner as to completely disrupt food chains. As you know, that producers are the beginning of all food chains here on Earth, whether they are aquatic or terrestrial. The release of sulfur oxides into the air often is associated with a global cooling event that might occur. A release of carbon dioxide into the air or some carbon oxides is often correlated with a global warming event. So it's considered that both of these types of gases would be released during a large-scale volcanic eruption, and that the climate would probably oscillate, up and down between cool periods and warm periods after a large-scale volcanic eruption. At least 3 of these 5 mass extinctions have been attributed to a large-scale volcanic eruption. Number 2, a drop in sea level. We would refer to this as global cooling, not global warming. So overall, mass extinction events have not been correlated with an increase in global temperature and a rising sea level. Perhaps that gives us hope in that regard if the current global warming event and the prediction of an increasing sea level does come to pass. Perhaps more people are concerned with the loss of property and cities and towns that are located close to the ocean, more so than loss of species, which isn't predicted to happen. So, mass extinction is often correlated with a drop in sea level because a drop in sea level actually reduces the continental shelf. It could also disrupt ocean current patterns and also weather patterns on land to cause extinctions on land. The reduction in the continental shelf would result in a loss of animals that live in the continental shelf region, which is usually a shallow water area closest to land. Usually the drop in sea level is associated to an ice age, so when the Earth's climate cools. And drops in sea level are associated with all of the 5 major mass extinction events. The third factor that I will outline is a cosmic collision, a meteorite, an asteroid that may, if it were to hit land, produce a tremendously large crater, bring a lot of dust and particulate matter into the air in a similar manner of a volcanic eruption, which could disrupt photosynthesis and mess up food chains, either on land or in the water. Perhaps the cosmic collision would cause a massive fire and could release sulfur oxides and result in a global cooling event. Perhaps the cosmic collision would be in water and could cause a tremendously large mega tsunami, a tidal wave. So large fires could result if the impact was to land. And this particular type of cosmic collision is considered to be the main reason behind the extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period for most of the dinosaurs. This asteroid impact is thought to have occurred in the Yucatan Peninsula area of Mexico. And put in a photo of a large asteroid hitting either within the ocean in the top right or bottom left, an asteroid hitting on land. A fourth reason behind a mass extinction is plate tectonics. The continents drift and move in such a manner that they could either initiate an ice age, global cooling, or they could move in such a way to end one, global warming, if you will. So movement of the continents can change ocean and wind currents, patterns. Movement of the continents can open up seaways that could, by moving together, continents could form land bridges. Every so often it is thought, and one is at least known, that the movement of the continents by continental drift can create a supercontinent of all continents being kind of connected together at one point in time, which would greatly reduce the amount of continental shelf present, increase desert because of the change in wind and ocean currents, and some areas of land would be very, very far away from the ocean. So deserts are considered to be fairly non-diverse compared to, say, a tropical rainforest or even a temperate forest. The continent or supercontinent Pangaea is pretty well accepted that it formed during the end of the Permian period and contributed to the largest mass extinction that is thought to have happened. That's called the Permian extinction event. So Pangaea is this supercontinent that existed of all the Earth's land masses, occurred about 250 to 300 million years ago. You notice that North America and Africa and Eurasia are all connected, as are South America and Africa, Antarctica, Australia, and even India, for that matter. So Pangaea remained attached for at least 50 to maybe 100 million years, very fairly long geologic time. Then the continents began to break apart, and they are continually moving, even at the present time. They're slowly moving in some manner. It's called continental drift. So when Pangaea broke apart, it initially split into Laurasia and Gondwana land. Laurasia was basically Europe, Asia, and North America, and Gondwana land was South America, Africa, Antarctica, Australia, and India. You can see by the fourth map of the Earth that India broke apart from Australia and Antarctica and started to move kind of in a northeast manner and hit Asia about 40 million years ago, it's thought, and that collision between India and the Asian continent formed the Himalayan mountain chain, which kind of runs in an east-west fashion. The mechanism behind plate tectonics is continental drift, and it's kind of considered that the Earth is made up of like puzzle pieces that are called plates. There are plates of crust and there are plates of continent. The crustal plates have a much higher density of material that makes them up compared to the continents. So the crustal plates are down at the bottom of the ocean. The continental plates are floating up above that. Thus you have our land, our major continents. So extinction is a natural process. It is considered that humans increase it, and, well, we just have to see what happens in the future as we move on. And that really kind of concludes our class, as we started with origin of life and we're ending with the death of it, just as we all do. So thank you and God bless.